Life is so amazing. It really is. And apparently, it is 38 degrees here in New York City for no reason. Like, no reason at all, right? It's like the weather is kind of tricky because the other day it was like in the 70s. And then all of a sudden it dropped back down to like the 40s and now it's in the 30s. But I can't complain because the sun is out, it's shining, it's beautiful. I remember during Black History Month, I went to a Black History Month celebration where this woman who is a native to New York, she lives now in California, and she said, cold weather is a choice. And then that kind of resonated with me. It was just like, man. And that at that time it was like in the 20s. It was cold as shit outside back in February. And I was standing in line to get inside the Apollo Theater for this Black History Month celebration. And so ever since I heard her say those words, it just stuck with me. Because we complain about a lot of things, right, in our lives. And I would say that much of what we complain about, we have the ability to change. Yet and still, we choose to complain about it, right? So, with that, I want to continue with the mantra of things being within our control, things being within our choice, right? And with that, I want to say that peace of mind is a choice. We allow things to negatively affect us. We allow things into our sphere, into our space. We choose to place ourselves in situations that are not beneficial to us. We choose to remain in environments that are not healthy for us. We choose to eat certain foods that we know are not in our best interest. Like everything, for the most part, kind of boils down to a choice that we have. Yet we often complain about these things. We complain as if we are powerless, we are defeated, we are overpowered by our own reality that we created. And I don't come from that perspective. It's a really beautiful day outside. Water. I'm going to show y'all this view once I leave from here. I get ready to leave from here. But yeah, it's just like I work at a hospital here in New York City. And, you know, there are toxic people everywhere you go, right? Like in any place you go, there are going to be toxic people. And the thing about when you work in a professional environment, of course, you don't really necessarily have a choice, right, on who your colleagues are, who your immediate coworkers are. You kind of just don't really have a choice, right? Um, Sometimes you come into an environment that has already been established, that has been set up. But you do still have a choice, though, on whether or not you stay. And I'm excuse me, I just left this restaurant. I left this restaurant here in New York City in Upper East Side where I live, off 82nd Street, and really nice restaurant. I go to the bathroom, I'm just like, this place is nice. In the words of Tiffany Haddish, this shit is nice. I'm like, damn, this shit is fucking fancy. I love fancy restaurants. But yeah, it's like I'm constantly doing a self-evaluation over my own life, my circumstances, especially when I find myself in a space that is dissatisfactory to what I deem to be of my standards, right? And I remind myself, like, I choose to be here. I don't have to be here. Like, that's the key thing that we forget. The whole mantra of everything is a choice, it speaks to our ability to have a sense of autonomy over our own life, our own happiness in life. There are other options, essentially, right? There are always other options in life. Like, you don't have to succumb to your circumstances if you know that it is not beneficial for you. You know that it's causing you a significant, a significant amount of distress. You know that it is just not in alignment with your life's purpose, your mission. You can step away. And I think because we become so complacent with the way things have been and are going, and we are in a position of trepidation, fear of not knowing, okay, if I leave, what's on the other side of this, right? And for me, given my free-spirited nature, given my adventurous nature, like, I like to take risks. For me, I don't shy away from going against the grain. If anything, that's just in fact, I lean more so into it, right? I've always been that kind of person. Um, I've always been that kind of person to, irrespective of what people think, what people subscribe to, like, I just kind of do, quote unquote, my own thing. I've been told that by my colleagues and so-called superiors that, oh, you just do your own thing. Like, yeah, I do. Because I'm always going to be good. I'm always going to be okay in life despite anything. I don't worry about shit that most people worry about. Like, the fears that haunt most people and paralyze most people to stepping out into a different world, to making a bold decision, to going against the grain, to doing what is essentially is in their best interest and favor, right? It doesn't have an effect on me. It doesn't affect me the same way. I'm so grateful for that. I've always moved to the beat of my own drum. It should be very clear that I do that because I value my health. I value my peace. I understand that it's no one else's responsibility to ensure my happiness. At the end of the day, you watching this video, right? You have your own life that you are responsible for. You have your choices that you need to make, that you have made in life, right? That you are living with the consequences of those choices, whether good or bad. Um, that's within your control, within your realm. And I myself have the same thing, you know. I think for some people, like, it becomes easier to assume the position of being victimized or being powerless, not being able to have control over our choices, our decisions, our actions, right? Like, it works in other people's favor, some people's favor rather, to take that position. I love the sun here. It's just very, very peaceful. I don't know what's going on. The connection lately has been very crappy. My videos, as a result, have been kind of choppy. But yeah, I'm feeling really nice today. I'm off work. I choose to not go into work today. Just to take a self-care day, just to take a day for myself. I'm in conversation with this guy who lives in West Hollywood, California. And he's at a crossroads in his life where he's trying to decide if he should continue down the path that he's been on. He manages a cafe in Hollywood. He makes good money, right? He has his own living space, but he's not happy. And he's at this place where he's like, he works very hard. Excuse me, very hard. And I can imagine, like, running a cafe, running any fucking establishment or business for that matter, it's very demanding work. It takes a lot out of you, right? And sometimes you may find yourself having to overextend yourself to show up at times when you're not fully capable or willing to show up, right? So he's kind of at that space where he's just like, listen, I'm ready to kind of step away from this, just to be free, to free myself from this, to um, create a life that is less demanding and where I can gain more satisfaction and living the life that I want. And funny enough, though, like, even though we come to a space in our life where we are like, I'm not really happy, things aren't going as I expected, right? We evaluate our current circumstances. And even if we come to the point where we decide that this isn't the life that I want, we still have to take ownership for having created that life, right? Like, how did you get to the point that you're at right now? If you're at a point in your life where you're like, this isn't really what I imagined, this is not really what I want, like, you still have to take accountability and ownership for that. And then looking at the life that you want to create. Because this is the thing I noticed, and I have to say this. When it comes to working in a paradigm of a 9 to 5, like, what I've noticed is that, yes, you can go in. It can be a 9 to 5 that is in conjunction with you living out your supposed life purpose or aspirations or dreams or career. But even, like, within that, like, interwoven within that, I've noticed is that it doesn't often play out that way. Like, these jobs or careers, right? They sell you this dream. They sell you this ideal that what seems to align with what you want, but it doesn't work out that way. They take more from you than what they are able to provide to you, what you are able to benefit from them, right? And it's just like people, they go in because they feel like, I don't have any other options. Like, what else am I going to do? And I think sometimes life has to happen to us for us to really get it, for us to really appreciate our own power, for us to kind of put things into perspective and see that it doesn't have to really be that way. Like, you don't have to work a 9 to 5. You don't have to be beholden to the system. You don't have to be a slave, essentially. I knew from the jump, and I've said this many times over, that I knew from the jump that working a 9 to 5 was never a part of my calling, ever. I always knew that. Granted, I've tried it, of course, I've tried it, but from the jump, when I took my first 9 to 5 at the age of 16, I knew that. How did I know that? I knew that because I listened to my spirit. I'm very much in alignment with the universe, yo. I don't go against my nature. Oftentimes, like, people, they silence that voice within. They silence those natural impulses, those natural instincts. And over time, it becomes numb, right? Like, you don't even feel it anymore. But I can't do that. Like, my body just won't allow me to betray itself. And I often say, like, I don't see how people do it, yo. I just don't see. I mean, I understand, because then, yes, certain life circumstances. For example, if you have children, that I think puts you more in a vulnerable position, where now your risk for dependency has increased. Your risk for dependency on a system. It's really designed to entrap you, right? Much more is at stake, essentially, when you're in that position, when you now have other people, dependents, who are reliant upon you for their survival. But for me, I don't have that. And even if I did, I think that I am so much in tune with myself and with nature that my inner will, my inner purpose will overpower that perceive or impulse sense of vulnerability that I need a 9 to 5 job, right? Or I'm dependent upon the system to survive. Like, you don't need that. Many of us, we swallow the fucking pill, yo. We've given in. You don't need it. And I am so thankful that I always come back to this point in time. So if you follow my videos, you subscribe to my channel, you'll see that me making videos about this very topic, speaking from this narrative, is not anything new. It's not anything new. It's a recurring theme that is never going away. Like, it's always going to be there in my life. And I'm thankful. I'm thankful because I am not betraying myself. But yeah, peace of mind is a choice. Like, when you see something that is not in alignment with, and initially, like this is the thing, you have to nip in the bud early on. You can't just be like, all right, I want to acquiesce, I'm just gonna tolerate it, because the more you tolerate, just like anything that's toxic, that's unhealthy for your body, for your well-being, anything you tolerate, you can build a tolerance to. The more you tolerate it, really the more harm that it's going to cause you, but the less you are able to defend against it. When you initially spot something that is unhealthy, it essentially poses a threat or a danger or a risk to yourself, step away. Step away from that shit, man. A lot of jobs are toxic. A lot of people just are toxic, just by the nature of our society and how we have been socialized and conditioned. Just toxic, man. Don't think that you're going to become some superhero and save the fucking planet and save people and save your job, the people on your job, somehow convert them into this healthy, fully actualized being. No. Just step away from that shit. This is why people choose to go in isolation. This is why people, unfortunately, join cults. Because they recognize this. They recognize that the way things are in our society, the way things are in their environment, right, it's just not conducive to who they are as a spiritual being. It goes against their alignment. So they say, nah, man, I'm stepping away from this shit. It's not in alignment. For me, for the longest, I've always been in an island of myself. Even growing up in a big family, I've been the youngest, right? I'm the youngest child in my family, but I grew up in a decent sized family. I've always kind of been to myself. Like, I'm not the person to conform, clearly. I'm a non-conformist, but not that I'm doing it intentionally. Some people are just like, oh, I'm a rebel, right? And they intentionally go out to try to rebel against the norm, right? No, it's just, for me, it's just inherent within me. I'm like, nah, man, nah. Because if something is not right, it's not right. And the sad part about it is that people who, I have to show y'all this. This is so cute. This is my view right here. People who are easily influenced find themselves in those kinds of positions where they are persuaded, they conform, they are easily manipulated. Not me. It's like in my own parents whose DNA I possess, right? I came from their loin, right? Who raised me. Now, of course, they have an influence on me, but they can't penetrate me to the extent where I abandon my own self-determination, right? I abandon my own inkling. I've always had my own inkling, my own determination. It's just always been there. It's so peaceful. Look at them swim. So majestic. Like I say sometimes to people, like, yo, it ain't happening. My own freaking mom. These are the people who are responsible and were responsible for my development, my well-being. They didn't have that ability to overpower my own will, my own self-determination. What the hell make you think that you have that? Like, yo, you are a complete stranger. What the hell makes you think that? It's impossible. Or highly unlikely for those who think that anything is possible. Highly unlikely. Just not happening. Give it up. I am a born leader. This is just who I am. And I would rather be alone. There are many of us who are alone. And sometimes people say that we are the most dangerous people. Why? Because if you can really exist alone and literally be happy and create your own sense of happiness, is being alone. That is a major challenge. You gotta be careful with people like us. You really do. When the world is continuing to evolve and exist, and holidays come about, birthdays come about, events happen, gatherings happen, all these things are happening around us. But yet, we have the ability, we've maintained the ability to create our own reality and our own sense of happiness and just well-being. We're not likely to be shaken, to be moved, to be easily influenced. It's just not going to happen in that way. Like, the amount of discipline that it takes to go in isolation, to live in isolation for really the majority of your life. Like, of course I've had partners. Of course I've been in social settings. Of course I've been affiliated with people, organizations. Like, of course I know how to do that, right? But I don't need that. I don't need that to survive. I don't need that to be happy. Theoretically, there's a belief that says that we as human beings, we need to be accepted, right? Innately, we have an innate desire for a sense of belonging. That has not been my innate need, though. I don't need to be accepted by any fucking body. I feel like my need, a greater need for me, is to be respected, to be understood more so than to be accepted. So maybe that whole hierarchy of needs needs to be revised, right? But that's how we've been trained, especially, as a psychologist, to believe that, as human beings, we have this innate need to be accepted. Nah, I don't seek acceptance. I don't even seek being respected, but I do demand it. Usually it happens kind of naturally. Because as I just stay centered in who I am and what I believe in. Just what it is. But yeah. It's a good time though. Like it's March. It's a good time of year to do these kinds of self-reflections. To look out into the future. What is going to happen.
Isso fica bem legal quando tu olha pro lado do céu que eu te pedi.
The months to come, the time to come.
Ai, que massa que ficou. Vê se tu gostou. Eu gostei muito.
I've experienced and I've seen a lot, to say the least. I've seen, people. It's just, for me, I guess because, I don't know, I feel like I don't see, a lot of people, their frame of reference, their understanding of their sense of self is kind of dependent, predicated on things outside of it. The wind today, the wind is very powerful today. But yeah, so much of who they are is just relying upon external forces. And so yeah, I can see how they find themselves in situations where they then become powerless, develop a sense of learned helplessness. But sometimes it bothers me. It's just like, if you don't get your shit together, like you're suffering, you're in agony because you choose to be. You know you don't have to be in a situation. You don't have to be. You don't have to succumb yourself to a 9 to 5, into these artificial systems that put you in an inferior position and deem themselves to be superior, that you have to answer to. Like, you don't have to be in that situation. You got people that they outwardly dread their current reality. You're just like, I don't want to be in this situation. Why am I here? And then they are in relationships that are very abusive and demeaning. And it's just like, they don't have the foresight, right? They don't have the objectivity to see the bigger picture. To realize, you're giving so much power to this thing, to this person over you. You don't have to maintain yourself in a situation. But it's something about the situation that it serves a function, that serves a purpose, and fulfills a void, a need that you have. But at any point, things can change. They should change. But yet they don't. Why is that? Yeah, that's all I had to say. That's all I had to say for this video. I'm loving it though. Some people have conditioned fear. Some people aren't spiritually protected, even though they worship certain so-called deities. But they're not really protected by those so-called deities. It's just like, if you worship anything, you should be protected. And through that protection, you should not live in fear. You should feel very emboldened to make any decision that you need to make confidently without fear of repercussion or anything else. Life, you have to think about what life is and how it ideally should be. People are not living, most people often are not living the ideal life that they should live. So they don't come from that perspective like, oh, life should be this way, right? And they're told, oh, you shouldn't think about what should be, right? It's the should that gets you in trouble because people say things should be this way. So even in therapy, even according to cognitive behavior therapy, CBT, right, it's supposed to be this empirically validated framework, theoretical framework that has been popularized in our field of psychology and mental health. But it's just like they say the shoulds are like, oh, irrational thinking, right? It's not healthy. It's not conducive to a healthy lifestyle, healthy way of being, that you shouldn't. It's funny enough, right? The irony, you shouldn't think and come from a position of what should be. And they say it's the shoulds that get you in trouble. This is what they are imposing, what should be. The irony is that they are like what they call it, the kettle calling the pot black, the pot calling the kettle black. The very ones that are saying what you shouldn't do are using the same language that they're saying that you shouldn't use, right? That you should not live in the sphere of should and shouldn't, what things should be. Fuck that. We know what should be, right? People should not be getting the fucking abuse, right? People should not feel inferior or unhappy or remain in unsatisfactory positions, state of being. Fuck that. That's not how things should be. Point blank, period. Right? But they, through this framework, they put you in this position that you should avoid the shoulds, accept kind of what is, live through a state of really what is, and just come to an acceptance of it. Nah, man. That same way of thinking is what kept black people enslaved for so goddamn long. Because it basically, what it does is it makes you doubt and go against your own natural instincts. Your instincts are there. You're born with instincts. Babies have instincts. And those instincts communicate what is right, what is wrong, what should be. Hold on. This shouldn't be. Something shouldn't be. Then it draws your attention to what should not be. This is not right. As opposed to, okay, softening your defenses and just accepting what it is. But if what is not healthy for you and should not be there, you should not be the subject or the victim of abuse by anyone. You don't have to tolerate that bullshit. I don't care who it is, family or foe, blood or water, I don't care. People fall for anything. This is people's problem, you know. So then they just acquiesce. They go along with the go along. Damn that. Damn that. Going along with the go along for what? This is why you have to be in alignment with the all, the universe, nature. Because nature will have your back. It teaches you to be unafraid. It's artificial systems, yo. They don't have no power over you. The power lies within you. I'm done. There's no reason why it should be 30 fucking degrees outside. It should not be this cold. It really should not. I appreciate the sun is out though. I do really appreciate the sun. Just taking it all in. I do. I appreciate the sun. I appreciate it. Alright. Catch you all in the next one. Thank you all for tuning in. I said what I said. I meant every single word that I said here. As always,